Good evening, everybody, and welcome to an edition of the news called the Demo News. Reasons for that will become apparent in a moment. I hope you're all doing well. I hope you all had a good weekend, and I'm hoping that you're all not being led too much by the Pied Piper, even though that was the name of an operation. Did you know that in World War II? To have kids evacuated to the countryside from the cities in England. It was actually called Operation Pied Piper. Just thought I'd mention that. What a weird name to give it, eh? To save kids. Anyway, I digressed. Yes, I hope everybody's ignoring the BS as much as they possibly can, unless, of course, to ridicule it and tear it apart is the point I'm making there. Because that's what we should be doing. Because giving it a closer look, has it collapse in on itself immediately, doesn't it? The reason why I'm putting this video out really is just to make a couple of announcements mainly, and just highlight one or two things from the government website as well, to put one or two people's minds at ease, because I've been asked a couple of questions, particularly to do with exemptions and stuff like that. And in fact, I'll get that out of the way now. The website, the government website, was updated in December of this year, right? The original rules, as it were put in there in March of last year. So they have been updated, but the situation with face coverings, for example, and I've always said it right from the start, this starts with the face mask. If you're complying there, then the chances are you're going to comply elsewhere. But after checking it thoroughly, and it's the same thing that applies. Exemptions apply, and you do not have to show any written evidence that you may have a health or disability reason. I'm just reading it here just to make sure I'm getting the wording right, for not wearing a face covering. And you do not need to show an exemption card at all, which is what we've been saying now for 2 years. It's never changed. The problem is that people in shops or wherever they are being employed carrying out these so-called, moments of awkwardness when they're stopping you, asking you if you're exempt and all that sort of stuff. Well, if only they were educated around it and they just had a quick staff meeting for 5 minutes, we'd be saved a lot of hassle. But of course, they're not doing that, are they? They're not going to inform the staff properly, because that feeds into the whole dividing and lack of communication, of course, which has existed for a while now anyway. So that feeds right into that. But it's misinformation and it's ambiguity and it's all that, isn't it? But anyway, just to make sure people are clear on that, exemptions apply as they always have done. And face coverings, whilst they're not officially called a personal choice anymore, they are though. And you don't have to explain to anybody ever about a reason for not wearing one. And it's as simple as that. Nothing has changed on that, no matter how you reword things. So just so that everybody knows on that one, it's easy to get fooled because they make big announcements that you think there's been major changes made here, there, and everywhere that haven't. They've had 2 years to change and work on that, and they still haven't. And it's there for everybody to read. So anyway, I thought I'd just make a bit of a song and dance about that, because it's one of my pet hates, is the whole face covering thing. It winds me up to this very day. It annoys me. Not necessarily people who are wearing them, but it's the, if only they knew a little bit more around the topic and stuff like that, or were aware of certain things, just took a look at the website, for example, the government website, to read up on it. What can you do? Anyway, so that's what I wanted to say on that. Yeah. Speaking of that kind of thing, there is going to be a demo this Saturday that will start at 1 p.m. at Bournemouth Town Hall. I'm actually looking forward to that, as are many, I think. The vibe I'm getting is that we're all of the opinion that this is a good opportunity to up the interaction a little bit and offer some information, more information around the developments of the past couple of months or few months, whatever, because it is clearly and self-evident that there are more and more people now being, quite frankly, hacked off with the situation. So not necessarily waking up to what's going on, but most certainly the inconvenience factor and all that is taking its toll on people. I'll give you an example. Last week I had a few people come up to me when I was working at the football club. And I'm not digressing any secrets here, because anybody who stood within earshot would have heard the conversation. It's no big deal. But they were concerned about, what about all these checks now going into the stadium and stuff like that, because there was talk of checking beyond a certain capacity of supporters, let's say in a football stadium, that you'd have to check their paperwork to see if A, they're either double jabbed, or B, they have tested negative. When the fact of the matter is, and the honest truth is, it's not possible to police and carry out. You'd have to make some radical changes, radical changes for that to work at any football ground anywhere in England. Never mind throughout the world. But anyway, so before people start worrying about not being, I don't want to sound patronising or anything, but I'm saying it for myself really more than anything else. Before I start worrying about things like they're going to pinpoint the non-vaccinated and they're going to home in and this, that, and the other. Well, you have to police all that. You have to have the people to do that, and it ain't that easy. It really isn't. If you give it a bit of thought, it becomes clear quite quickly. So again, I'm not buying into that gaslighting, and my advice, neither should you, if possible. Any light you should be buying into should be this one. And that's it. By the way of which, I'll be handing out loads on Saturday. So if you want copies of the light paper, then we'll have tables, I think, set up in the gardens in Bournemouth. And so there'll be some there. And I'll have some on me, or a few of us will have some on them during the course of the walk through Bournemouth. Yes. So there you go, guys. I've kind of said a few things there, all over the place, went off on various tangents, but I just wanted to throw out a quick video, really, just to, highlight what's going on. I put a little promo video out from Mike earlier today, so thank you, Mike James John, for doing that promo. Very nice, especially one particular bit in the middle of it, but and it's nice to get back into the flow of getting back out there and seeing what the vibe is now, and seeing how we can interact and communicate with people and see where we're at, because at the end of the day, this is no longer about, shouldn't have been in the first place, but this is now about understanding that we're all in this together, everybody, and all in this together means figuring it out together. What can I say that hasn't already been said? I mean, let's be honest. I just spoke to my daughter actually before I started doing this evening, and she's over in Germany. She turns 12 in February, and of course I never waste an opportunity to mention that Russian roulette is not a good idea, but to try and keep the message as simple as possible. But of course it's difficult, because once we hang up and she goes off back to her bubble and her environment, she lives in Germany, I live in England, then it's out of my control. And that is something I have to fight and battle with very hard. It gets pretty difficult to process. So yeah, it hits home then after a conversation like that, is the point really I'm making here. I'm not going on a whinge really, but well, I am, but don't mean to. But yeah, it becomes clear after a conversation like that, where you think, blimey, they've really done a number, and it's horrific. It really is. When you take a step back and think about it, it's just not good. Anyway, but there you go. So apart from that, I hope you will have a good week. I hope that as many of you as possible can turn up on Saturday. It'd be great if we could get a bit of support around it as well. It'd be lovely to have more people interacting with bystanders and this, that, and the other, because let's have it right. I know a lot of people, and there are a lot of people out there who have either personally had bad experiences after the vaccination or know of people who have. And that's something that's become more and more commonplace, and that's why I think there is a slight there's an up the receptiveness of everybody has seemed to have upped a slight bit, is what I wanted to say, really. So I think it's a good opportunity to use that momentum and hammer it home a little bit, really, you know. But there we go. On that note, I'm just looking down to see if there's anything I wanted to say in particular that I've forgotten to say. On that note, no, absolutely not. We'll leave it at that. I will get back to you, of course, after the demo. I'm probably going to do some filming that day. I'll either do a live stream on Facebook or I'll do videos for YouTube that I'll then upload and whatever later on. Can't go live. I haven't got enough subscribers yet. I can on Facebook, so I'll probably do that. And yeah, there'll be a couple of speakers, and there'll be, like I say, some tables, information tables and stuff like that. There'll be yeah, a couple of initiatives going on within the demo as well. So please do come down and give us your support, and you know, and if not for that reason, but to then maybe gain a bit of information around it. We're all approachable at times, and you know, and there's nothing more rewarding than to be able to share some information with somebody who A, is willing to listen, and B, can do something with that information and go and take a look for themselves. Because I always say, don't take my word for it, go and take a look yourself. And that is got to be the standpoint that we have on this as well. But please then do take a closer look. Your media, your mainstream media, they're not going to admit to you that they're wrong. It's never going to happen. You know, you're not going to get the truth looking in that direction ever. Anyway, I've waffled on now for far too long, and yeah, it's enough, isn't it? So anyway, on that note, for the second time, it's good night from him. He's back. He's wearing sunglasses now and a chain around his neck. What can you say? It's the camera. It changes some people. Yeah, so I'll see you all soon. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for supporting my channel. And of course, I'll see some of you sooner. Take care. Ta-ta for now. And speak to you then. Bye-bye.